Karl Marx prodded unenthusiastically at his boiled cabbage.
I'd heard that you pirate types tended to enjoy gargantuan and debauched feasts. I suppose I've been misinformed.
No, you're quite right. Sometimes they go on for days, and we actually end up having smaller courses in between the middle of the main courses. We just thought, well, with you going on about all that material wealth business, and how much you admire the common sort, that you prefer something like this.
On the contrary, that is my curse, pirate captain. I'm forever tainted by my breeding, doomed by my sensitive palate to enjoy only the best food and the finest cigars.
Oh, well, that's a bit of a relief. See, I was hiding the steak in my lap.
On account of some false charges which are largely irrelevant to the story at hand, Karl Marx is forced to flee to Paris. Because of the extreme circumstances, he acquires transportation from the pirate captain and his motley crew. This piece lightheartedly mocks manifestos, pokes fun at philosophy, and to sum it up, kids with communism. The Pirates in an Adventure with Communists by Gideon Defoe.
So, how did you get into philosophizing? Did you run away and join a band of traveling thinkers? Or were you raised in the woods by a wild philosopher?
No, sir, I started out as a journalist.
Really? Well, that's a bit of a coincidence. I'm a journalist of sorts myself. Of course, in addition to being something of a journalist, I'm also something of a philosopher.
Really?
In fact, I'd go so far to say that my journeys are as much an intellectual journey as an actual journey. Take the one where we went to Poland. We had to disguise ourselves as chess pieces. They're quite intellectual, aren't they?
I don't mean to be rude,
Said Marx, because that's what people always say when they mean to be rude.
but do you really think a pirate can have much to add to the canon of Western thought?
It might surprise you to know that I have a very deep and considered philosophy. It's mainly a meat-based theory. I feel that everyone should strive to eat as much red meat as possible. That's my first tenet. Another would be that I tend to know best. And my third tenet, I always think it's best to have three, would probably be something to do with the ocean. Generally, I would say that I'm in favor of it. See, you've done well to write all this, and some of it's pretty good. This each according to his abilities, to each according to his needs thing makes a lot of sense. For example, I often need a clean plate, but my ability to do the washing up is rather limited. It's not very thorough. But here's your first problem. Religion is the opium of the people. But I don't know about people. But I think you'll find the opium of pirates is actual opium.
I'm not sure you've really grasped my philosophical points.
And the next part, patently absurd. You have nothing to lose except your chains. It's true. I'm always losing my chains. That's just the start of it. I also tend to lose the anchors that are attached to my chains.
I'm afraid philosophy is not something lesser minds would understand. I think you probably underestimate the effort involved in the writing of a major philosophical work.
A friendly challenge. By the end of this voyage, I will have written a work of history that changes Western thought once and for all. You do the same, and the one that's the most world-changing wins.
You, sir, have yourself a wager.
On the next morning, the pirate captain had hit a bit of a wall. It didn't help that every time he got to a tricky bit, he'd play a couple hands of solitaire or waste half an hour trying on hats. There was not good at all.
Hello, lads. Something I can help you with?
Yes, pirate captain. A few of us workers have been listening to Dr. Marx, and we've come to the conclusion that we, the workers, are being unfairly oppressed. We don't think it's right that we should have to tie knots and bits of rope, whilst you lay idle, growing fat off the profits of our labour.
Well, I don't think I'm going to grow fat on bits of rope, do you? How nicely you've tied them.
The list of demands.
Demands, eh? That sounds serious. Well, I suppose I'd better hear them.
1. An end to the use of derogatory phrases such as "you scurvy landlubbers" when ordering us about. Because if you think about it, it doesn't make much sense. Seeing as how landlubbers don't tend to get scurvy. 2. When you read us a bedtime story, we were hoping it could be something other than your unpublished novel. Listen, more equal distribution of cereal from mini variety packs.
I think your manifesto contains a very salient point. And to show you that I'm not altogether unreasonable, man, I decided I'm going to let you all off the washing up today, and instead we're going to play a new game I just invented a moment ago. I think I'm going to call it Pop-Up Pirate. How it works is like this. You go and hide in that barrel. The rest of us take turns to poke our cutlasses through the sides of the aforementioned barrel. And the first one to make them jump up in the air gets a prize.
A few minutes later, the game was over. The pirate hadn't jumped.
Oh dear, look at that. He's all stabbed. Well, there's always going to be a few teething trouble with these new games. Do you think Scrabble got to where it is today without a few fatalities along the way? Anyhow, back to those commands. Does anybody think they can do a better job running the boat than me? I thought as much. Now go do that washing up. Not you, I've got a job for you. I want you to take these ship's biscuits to Dr. Marks and see how he's getting on with his major work. Now back here pronto.
Ship's biscuits, courtesy of the captain. How's the major work going? To be honest, I barely started. I seem to keep distracting myself with games of solitaire and trying on hats.
So he's nearly finished.
Really? Oh, yes. He was just finishing Appendix 4 when I walked in. It looked pretty impressive. A nice, thick manuscript and everything.
Those barnacles! Looks like an all-nighter for me. Leery-eyed, the pirate captain bundled up his manuscript and ran up on deck. Before we begin this, I'd like to point out that I've written much more, but it vanished in the night. Probably eaten by weevils. Terrible problem on a boat weevils are.
Pirate Captain, I'm afraid I'm going to have to admit defeat. I've not managed much more than this.
He opened his book and showed a single page. On it was a short paragraph in German and a few geometric tools in the margin.
I'm sure it's very good. What does it mean?
It means nothing, sir. It's little more than the lyrics to a song that I couldn't get out of my head.
Oh, well, I finished mine, but don't feel too bad. It's probably not all that.
The front cover featured a picture of the pirate captain leaning on a gate and looking clever, beneath the title, The Wit and Wisdom of the Pirate Captain.
You can't have a rainbow without a little rain. By observing the natural world, we can deduce that the best way to impress girls is by being aloof and funny and deep. In that order. It is my opinion that there are several kinds of face. There are polite faces which are flat with upturned chins. There are potato faces which are shapeless and maybe lumpy. There are lion-type faces which have flat, broad noses. And is this all your work, Pirate Captain?
Yes, it's just the first draft, you realise.
But it's brilliant! There's all sorts here! Recipes, jokes, puzzles, and what's this? A list of what's hot and what's not?
I do know that every so often.
So do I. I tend to stick to philosophers and macroeconomic trends, but it's the same principle. Oh, Pirate Captain, we have more in common than I realized.
You really like it?
It's a triumph. I love the pick it up, put it down approach. I can keep this in my toilet and invite visitors to my house. This is astounding.
I think I misjudged you.
And are you? See, this is where I've been going wrong. Why? Das Kapital didn't even have a single page to color in.
Oh, look. There's Paris.